In the name of the Father, and the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Today we read the Gospel of the calling of Matthew. His name, the other name is Levi. In the Gospel, multiple people, almost everyone, has a name and a nickname. So Matthew is an Aramaic name. Levi is the Hebrew name. So Matthew is the writer of the first Gospel, had written this story, and I want us to read it from him. But let me read with you again the calling of Matthew. After these things, he went out and saw a tax collector. Jesus saw a tax collector named Levi sitting at the tax office. And he said to him, "Follow me." So he left all, rose up, and followed him. It's a calling. Come, follow me. And he was sitting doing his business. It's in his store, his office. Then Levi gave him a great feast in his own house. And there were a great number of tax collectors. Whenever you hear tax collectors in the gospel, just substituted with the word thieves, robbers, extortioners, people who take money by force. And they're supported by the Roman Empire. And there were a great number of tax collectors and others who sat down with them. Who made the feast? It's Levi. It's written in Luke. Luke is writing it. Luke loves details, and he hints things that not the other Gospels do. There's more details in Luke. Then Levi gave him a great feast, made a lavish meal. And the scribes and the Pharisees on the other side, so they got two teams. Levi is inviting his friends, and the Pharisees and the scribes are also coming after Jesus. They're going after him. And they immediately have questions. They look in to see what can they pick on. And that's what they picked on. Why do you eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners? They're very abhorred, very disgusted. You're sitting with them? And Jesus answered and said to them, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick." I love what the Arabic translation did it. You know what the Arabic said? Do you remember? It's in our Katamaris, it doesn't say marda. Huh? Al-muta'allimin. This is a very important word. You can hear it and then just it makes a huge difference. Those who suffer. The doctors are not needed for the well people. It's needed for those who suffer. So they look at them as guilty, ugly. But what Jesus sees, suffering. And we're going to have to come to this again back. So let me read it from the person himself. And I love to go do that. Whenever you see something this, I think about it. So what did Levi say about it? How does he remember it? And who is Levi? Matthew. So it's in Matthew 9. We read the same story, but from his own mouth. And I want you to compare the two. Just as Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man named Matthew. So Matthew in his gospel, writing his other name, the Aramaic name, Matthew, sitting at the tax office in his business. And he said to him, "Follow me." So he arose and followed him. And listen to this, and just think about what's happening here. Now it happened, as Jesus sat at the table in the house, that behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" What did Matthew omit? He didn't say something that Luke said. It's his own house. And he made a a very great feast, right? Luke says it was a lavish, great feast. So out of humility and not mentioning what he had done, he said just enter the house, any house. He was sitting at the table, any table, and it was a meal. Not a big deal. But what Luke picked on is, no, it was his own house, and he made a great feast. And then the same thing, Matthew's recording, and I'm just going to take it from Matthew's own perception of it. Then Jesus heard what the Pharisees says, why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? And Matthew here is picking what other Gospels had said. Sometimes they directed to him, but most probably they never spoke to Jesus. They dare not speak to him. They couldn't. So who did they speak to? The apostles. Why are your teachers sitting with the sinners and the tax collectors? And when Jesus heard that, he said to them, those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick, I prefer suffering. Okay. What does Jesus see when he sees a sinner? What does he see? And why does he love them? He sees suffering. He sees suffering. He sees that someone is doing something not acceptable not because they want to do it, is because they have something, they have a reason. They have an excuse. How far you can go with that? Can you and I give an excuse for someone who's doing something wrong and you're witnessing it? Or are you going to pick on them and say, oh, they're doing something wrong? I keep hearing it all the time amongst us. We're quick to jump to judgment, and the reason is, anybody knows why we do that? When we were young, our parents taught us right and wrong, always emphasizing it, wrong. You know, the first word the child uses, it's no. Why they use no?
The parents say no.
Because there's always no. Before yes, before their name, before anything else, it's no. Why no? Because we are teaching them, don't touch this, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. So that's the first word they know. We grow learning no. So you apply it to everybody around you. It's very easy to apply it to everybody around you. Say, this is wrong. But we don't discern that sometimes people do things not because they want to do it, because of circumstances. Actually, there's a lot of that, and we don't really see it. To the degree, what's the harshest thing that Jesus had given excuse for? The harshest thing, the worst thing ever, that Jesus had made an excuse for the people. Crucifying him. What did he say? Father, forgive them. And he gave an excuse. What's an excuse? If we do not know. So you and I, in this childish idea of wrong and right, we always say no. But in him, he's always saying, you have a reason. You're doing this for a reason, and I know it. And when nobody else can find the reason for you and me, Jesus does. So I want to think about this in terms of judging. And I said this, and I'm going to say it again. You have no idea, and most of you, what judgment is. I really don't think you understand it at all. So, let me just say this. If I grow up knowing that, I'm going to give a simple example. Lying is wrong. It's a sin. And I hear someone saying a lie. What's the automatic response that comes without even thinking? They're lying. It's wrong. Okay? Why? Because you grow up, taught, and it's ingrained in us. It's nailed. It's actually hammered, engraved, that lying is wrong. We spot it and we make a diagnosis. It's wrong. Can I change that? Can you change that automatic response? Can you say it's not a lie? Or can you say, no, I don't need to say anything? But your mind inside of you said, hypocrite, hypocrite, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. The more you resist it, the more it actually fights you back and says, no, it is a lie. Is that a sin? You just think about it. Is that a sin? I want to read with you a verse from Isaiah. That's very important that we get to this point because I keep saying it and I need to explain it to you, and it has to be. I think it's 15, it's either 30:15 or 15:30. And that's another one. Okay, what does Isaiah say? He said that, woe to them who calls darkness light and light darkness, evil good and good evil, sweet bitter and bitter sweet. What's he saying? It's not a good thing for someone to say about something evil that is not evil. Do you understand? Like it's a sin. When someone says this is not a lie, but it is a lie, it is a sin. We've been taught right and wrong. Remember, two servants came to me and one day, and they were complaining that the kids were judging each other. And I said, what did they do? And they picked on the actions of each other. So they say, he lied. He said something awful. So I said, what do you want them to do? You've been teaching them, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. When it happens, they say it is wrong, and now you're not happy. Just, make up your mind. Do you want them to spot the wrong and say it is wrong? Or you want them not to spot it and not really care about it at all? Make up your mind as servants, as parents. Why are you saying they're judging? They're judging an action. This is actually wrong. Are we supposed not to judge the action? Are we supposed to be oblivious? Like, I don't care. No, you cannot do that. Your conscience is going to pick it and say yes. The conscience will pick on me if I look at something that's wrong and say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Do you really not know? Oh, of course I know. And I'm making a judgment. Yes. Is it right or wrong to make that judgment? That's a question to all of us. Is it right or wrong to say this is stealing? Is it right or wrong to say this is a lie? Is it right or wrong to say that is adultery or cheating? Is it right or wrong? Is it right or wrong? It has to be right. The Bible teaches is that you need to make a judgment of things. But what's really truly the judgment? Don't judge, lest you be judged. What's then judgment? We're very confused, all of us. I can assure you 100% of those who are here today are completely confused about what is judgment. When you actually start taking things into your hand and executing a punishment, I'm going to tell you, this is one story that's very, very, very important to understand. When you take things into your hand and start judging the person, and this is in this is a story. Jesus went to the mountain of Olives. Early in the morning, he came again into the temple in Jerusalem, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and the Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. What does that mean? Caught in the act. What does that mean? Just imagine. They went into the place where a woman and a man are sleeping together, and they actually spotted them in the action. And they brought her, for some reason not him, we don't know why. And they brought her, of course, as is, maybe wrapped in a sheet or something, and they set her in the midst of the circle, and everybody's looking. And they said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act," meaning that she's married and she's found in bed with another man. Okay, is that correct to say that she was committing adultery? Or is not correct to say that? Okay. Now, Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. So now we're coming to, after the judgment of the act, now we have to judge the the woman, and we're going to have to execute the correct judgment. But what do you say? This they said, testing him, that they might, the whole thing was, actually the purpose of it is not the woman, it's Jesus. They might have something of which to accuse him. And the simple story is, if he said, yes, stone her, they will bring the Romans and say he is asking to kill a man or a woman without the Roman justice. So they get him in trouble with the Romans. If he says, no, don't stone her, he's going to be in trouble with the Jews. Okay? But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground. We're not going to get into this. And he started to write, ignoring them totally. And then he answered one thing. He said, he who is without a sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first. If you have no sin, you can begin the stoning. And then he continued on to write. I agree with St. John Chrysostom. I think he was writing the commandments. And then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest, even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. And then Jesus raised himself up, and saw no one but the woman. He said to her, woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you, judged you? She said, no one, Lord. And Jesus said to her, neither do I. I'm not going to judge you. And listen to the next part. Go and sin no more. My two questions. Did Jesus acknowledge that what she'd done is a sin? Is that clear? Did he kind of close his eyes and said, no, she didn't do anything wrong. It's not my job. So he acknowledged what she had done is a sin. But did he agree for her to be stoned? No. So here we have a differentiation. It's very important we get this. There's no way you and I can say about something wrong that is right, or it didn't happen, or any of that nonsense that we are confused about. This is the core of Christianity, the core of Christ's teaching. You see a sin, but you don't hate the sinner. You don't want the punishment for the sinner. You don't make yourself feel better by stoning the sinner. How do we stone sinners? In our community here, I'm not talking about somebody outside. I'm not talking about a movie or a story. I'm talking about us. How do we stone each other when we make something wrong? Think about it. The gossip. Absolutely. You're starting the process of hurting someone by telling what they had done to someone else. I hear it a lot. A gas station, or a grocery store, or any kind of business where there's cameras, and one of the church members, or even somebody else, but especially church members, is working for that man and the owner of and he sees him in the camera stealing or doing something not appropriate. The next day in the church, everybody knows what happened, including Abuna. And sometimes they threaten, I'm going to tell Abuna about you. What happened? We don't love that person. What did we do? We stoned him. And guess what? What happened to that person? He doesn't like to be here. He doesn't want to see anyone. Or she doesn't want to see anyone. Why? Because in an ignorant act of judgment, we had hurt them big time. You think this woman would want to look into the faces of those Pharisees that wanted to stone her again? She would follow him because he knows. Maybe that person that you're looking at in the camera or that you have seen doing the act has their own suffering, their own weakness. No one wants to be in the wrong unless there's something hurting. But we don't really see that. But you know what? Again, at the end of the day, this is not fair. I'll tell you why. It's not justice. I tell you, O man, what the Lord wants from you, but to seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly. That's what God expects from us. So if I treat others not the way I wanted to be treated, that's not justice, not fair. And God doesn't like it. I'll tell you what did he say. There is no mercy for those who had not practiced mercy. And by the way you treat others, you will be treated. Simple justice. That's divine justice. So, why do I need to judge people? And now we understand. Not judging someone is not to say that they didn't do anything wrong. Not to judge somebody is not to speak evil of them. What else? The other way that I can judge someone is to feel better. I'm better than this person because I don't do what they're doing. That's what the Pharisees said. Always the Pharisees making themselves feel better. They lift up themselves. They put themselves up on someone else. So to climb on someone else so I can feel better about myself. How do they do this? I am not like this. I am not like that. There was a Pharisee and a tax collector in the church. And one of them, the Pharisee, stood in the front, lifted up his eyes to God and says, "Thank you, Lord. I am not like this tax collector. I'm much better than him. I don't steal. I don't take people's money by force. So I'm feeling better about myself because someone else is doing something wrong. And this is part of the gossiping. You and I are going to talk about somebody so that he goes down and we go up on his expense. That is terrible. That's not justice at all. At all. Not knowing that if I'm in the same place, and I will do the same thing and even worse. Tell you something. Have you noticed ever that when you speak evil of somebody about what they've done, you're tempted and falling in the same thing? Always. The same week. The same week. It doesn't have to go far. Once you start speaking evil of someone about what they have done, it's in the same week. You're tempted by the same problem and you are reminded right there and then so that you don't pick on anybody. And the third one is treating people bad. Just being disgusted with them. See, this is how the Pharisees wanted to feel good about themselves. Get away from me, you're a tax collector. Get away from me, you're a sinner. I cannot be associated with you. That's why I want to tell you something. I always say this. Why didn't the Pharisees listen to John the Baptist? Many problems. I gave 5 reasons to that. One of them is they're going to stand in line to have a confession with the tax collectors. I'm going to stand with them in the same line. Forget it. I'm not going to associate myself with that kind. 3 things in judgment that you think you should be careful not to do. Knowing it is a sin and agreeing it is a sin, that's the right thing to do. Your righteousness is not there. That you ignore it. I don't want to judge anybody. I don't want to judge anybody. No, you're going to judge them, whether you like it or not, because that's how your conscience is made up to. You cannot spot sin in your actions if you don't spot it everywhere. That's not the problem. The problem is taking this to do something about it. I'm going to fix it. What are we going to do about it? I'm going to tell everybody about it. So how is that going to fix anyone? How is that going to fix anyone? You know, when you talk to somebody, they're angry. And you're telling them, calm down, do they? It never works. Why? Because when the mind is overtaken by an emotion, fear, anger, and anxiety, you cannot reason with anyone. So in the sinning state, when somebody's in a sin, they're overrun. The mind is overrun. How are you going to fix it? You know what we do? We give them more things to worry about. In addition to their own sin, now they have to worry about their reputation and their honor. Are we helping? No. We're drowning people down. Those Pharisees didn't care much about the tax collectors. When Jesus honored Levi and brought him up in society, Levi felt good about himself, and now he's able to reason. He's able to pick up the sound of the Lord and follow him. This is different, totally different. Shame on you and me if we are not helping the Lord in bringing people to follow Him, not by pushing them down, not by shaming them, and make them feel unneeded and unnecessary in the church, in the community where Jesus is. I, the puny I, the sinful I, can obstruct someone's way to Jesus. Yes, I can. So, I'm going to conclude and summarize what we said. So, in this story, Jesus is the friend of the suffering, the people who actually are excluded. I hope that today you go back and you go home and think about how many people we brought their evil actions into gossip, or we made ourselves feel better on their account, or we treated them terribly just because we know that they're not worthy of our attention. And how did that affect them? Take that into account. And if you are on the other side of it and you've been treated this way, please know that you have a loving, sweet Lord who cares. He will never do that to you. He protected the sinful woman who was caught in adultery. He didn't say that she didn't do anything wrong. That's the key of Christianity. You see the wrong, but you don't get angry at the wrongdoer. You really love them and you care for them to improve. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.